Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Israeli fighter jets bombed Hezbollah drone factories in Beirut yesterday, and Gaza has become even more complicated.
Israel is turning to an unlikely source for help in defeating Hamas in Gaza. Julie Stahl brings us the latest developments from Jerusalem.
Israel has been arming a family clan, sometimes called a militia, in Gaza in order to strengthen opposition to Hamas. Israeli opposition leader Avigdor Lieberman leaked that information to Israeli media, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not deny the report.
On the advice of security officials, we activated clans in Gaza that oppose Hamas. What's wrong with this? This is only good and saves the lives of IDF soldiers. The publication of this only benefits Hamas, but Lieberman doesn't care.
The group, led by Yasser Abu Shabab, has been documented operating in an area near the Kerem Shalom border crossing that is under Israeli military control and where aid trucks enter Gaza. It has about 300 members, which Hamas sees as a thorn in its flesh. That report comes as the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has closed all of its aid distribution sites in Gaza for now, saying they will be reopened later. The sites were closed after shootings near the aid locations earlier this week. Meanwhile, Israel has assured the U.S. it will not strike Iran's nuclear facilities unless President Trump makes it clear that negotiations with Iran have failed, according to Axios. But in another sign that Iran is building up its military program, the Wall Street Journal reports Iran has ordered material from China for hundreds of ballistic missiles. President Trump says he cautioned Netanyahu not to launch an attack on Iran while talks are ongoing. But Trump also said his stand could change with a phone call if talks with Iran aren't making progress. In another show of U.S. support for Israel, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced sanctions against 4 judges on the International Criminal Court, saying they are directly involved in The Hague's efforts to prosecute Israeli and U.S. nationals for alleged war crimes in Gaza. The decision follows Hungary's earlier move to withdraw from the ICC rather than arrest Netanyahu when he came to visit.
If you check the voting records at the UN General Assembly, you will find a few countries, just a few countries from Europe, opposing every and each anti-Israeli, anti-Zionist resolution. Hungary is among those countries.
And in Lebanon, Israel warned Lebanese civilians to leave specific areas before it struck Hezbollah drone production sites and storage facilities in Beirut and southern Lebanon used by the Hezbollah aerial unit. The IDF says Hezbollah has launched more than 1,000 explosive and reconnaissance UAVs at Israel since the beginning of the war. The IDF says Hezbollah is working to produce thousands of drones under the direction and funding of Iranian terrorists as part of Iran's efforts to harm the state of Israel. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, I'm sorry to report that the food distribution in Gaza has been shut down because of these Palestinian groups that have been armed, and whether it's Hamas or this other group that was apparently cooperating with the IDF, what they're doing is they're shooting Palestinians who are trying to get to the humanitarian aid. And so all the aid had to be shut down for the safety of the people. You don't want to have a choice of you're going to be shot to death or you're going to get food. It's incredible to me that Israel would cooperate with some kind of militia gang in Gaza on the theory that, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and we need some kind of counterbalancing force against Hamas. This isn't the first time in Israel's history that this has happened. As Israel withdrew from southern Lebanon back in the 1980s, they had a similar alliance with militias in southern Lebanon. That didn't work out, and it's not going to work out in Gaza today. There's a biblical precedent as well. A king of Judah tried to hire other soldiers from Israel, and in that, a prophet of God came and warned them. And this is the warning from 2 Chronicles 25, verse 8. If you let them go with your troops into battle, you will be defeated by the enemy no matter how well you fight. God will overthrow you, for he has the power to help you or to trip you up. Israel needs to be clean from this kind of activity, not arming other militias in Gaza in some vain hope that it'll counterbalance Hamas. The key for peace in Gaza is disarmament. It's not allowed to have weapons inside of Israel. You have to be either part of the police or part of the IDF. And that same standard should be the standard for Gaza. We're seeing the aftermath of it, where the humanitarian aid, the food that was needed by the citizens of Gaza, is now stopped because of this alliance. Let's not continue it. I hope they shut it down and shut it down very quickly. In other news, one of the largest pro-Israel events in the U.S. has been postponed indefinitely because of growing terror threats. John Jessup has that story and more from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. The event, called the Israel Summit, was expected to draw more than 1,000 people from across the United States and by live stream. Organizers had already had to move the event once because of threats. Israel Summit organizer Luke Hilton told CBN News what happened.
There were groups of jihadi Americans. I mean, honestly, there's nothing else to call them, because this is now spreading all across America, calling to target, quote, target the Israel Summit and to target the venue and the organization that was hosting us. And unfortunately, because of this, there was just no other option except to indefinitely postpone next week's Israel Summit. What it feels like is that Jews and Christians can no longer gather publicly in support of Israel and America.
Despite postponing, Hilton promises there will be a bigger, better Israel Summit in the U.S., where people won't be afraid to come together to support Israel. For more on this story and the full interview, you can go to cbnnews.com.